So Donald Trump held another one of these press briefings yesterday, and the press briefings are increasingly sort of an outlet for Donald Trump's panic over failed interview after failed interview. On Monday night, the Axios interview that Trump gave to Jonathan Swan was such a train wreck that Trump decided yesterday morning, I'm going to call in to Fox and Friends. That'll be a nice softball interview. Well, we reviewed the Fox and Friends interview, and again, Donald Trump was a complete and total disaster. He seems unable to help himself. So yesterday in the evening, running half an hour late, put him sort of in the evening category here on the East Coast. Trump had another one of these White House press briefings, and it was just unfounded conspiracy after conspiracy. Donald Trump losing all connection with reality. And I want to take a look at some of the key moments. Now, you might remember that on Tuesday, Trump had floated the idea that the explosion in Beirut, Lebanon was an attack. And he also mentioned that it looked like a bomb. Now, at the time, there was no evidence of that whatsoever. It was completely irresponsible for Donald Trump to float that idea. And since, as we learn more about what went on, there continues to be a complete lack of evidence that that is what happened. Donald Trump was asked about it yesterday and multiple times doubled down, floating even more conspiratorial ideas about explosive devices, all with zero evidence. Also, one other thing here that I want you to pay special attention to. You're going to notice that Trump starts referring to Lebanon as that country. He never says the word Lebanon during this entire press briefing. It looks to me that Donald Trump doesn't know that Beirut is in Lebanon. And so he avoids having to make that clear by referring to Lebanon as that country. Pay special attention to that. The primary focus of this clip is Trump's baseless conspiracies.
Beirut. So there's been some question about your comments yesterday saying that it was an attack and that you'd heard from military officials that there was, an explosion, that it looked like some sort of a bomb.
What it was. I can tell you, whatever happened, it's terrible, but they don't really know what it is. Nobody knows yet. At this moment, they're looking. It could, how can you say accident? Somebody was, left some terrible explosive type devices and things around. Perhaps it was that. Perhaps it was an attack. I don't think anybody can say right now. We're looking into it very strongly. Right now, it's, you have some people think it was an attack and you have some people that think it wasn't. In any event, it was a terrible event and a lot of people were killed and a tremendous number of people were badly wounded, injured. And we're standing with that country. We have a very good relationship with that country, but it's a country under a lot of turmoil, a lot of problems, but we stand with them.
None of what Donald Trump said there is based in any fact. He says maybe someone left explosive devices. There's no evidence of that. He's just making that up. Some people think it was an attack. There could have been explosive devices. There's no connection to reality whatsoever. Now, you expect this stuff from, the enclaves of the internet that we've all come to sadly be familiar with over the last 3.5 years. But this is the president of the United States just randomly and wildly floating conspiracies that occur to him. Then another one. Here Donald Trump posits without any evidence that there was some kind of conspiracy in New York congressional primaries, all to make him look bad. This is just wild and unhinged.
In New York, they had the Carolyn Maloney situation, and I criticized it badly over the last 2 years and 2 days. I gave it some very, very strong criticism, and all of a sudden, like a miracle, they just approved the winner. Well, what happened? Did the person that was second concede the race, even though it was very close and all mixed up? They have a terrible situation in New York with the ballots, you know that. And as soon as I said, well, I think you should have a new election because the election, obviously, they're not going to know what to do. I think you should have a new election. They all of a sudden announced a winner. I assume it was her, but they announced a winner. Well, I don't agree with it. Did somebody speak to the person on the other side, the opponent? Did they do something for the opponent on the other side? Take a look at Paterson, New Jersey. Take a look at many things. It's all over newspapers what's going on with the mail-in ballots. They send out millions of ballots. They're totally unprepared to do it. And then they come back in the millions. It's going to be a disaster.
Completely baseless allegations. And remember, Donald Trump keeps talking about vote by mail fraud as a reason not to vote by mail in November. And he points to this New York race. This situation in New York is related to postmarks and mishandling by the city. There has been no voter fraud alleged in this race at all, never mind confirmed. None of that race has anything to do with fraud. And yet Donald Trump is fully in with these baseless conspiracies. Now, then at the end of the press briefing, again, the topic of Beirut was brought up, and Trump sort of stumbles through the answer and abruptly ends the press briefing, again, failing to ever say the word Lebanon. It seems to me Trump doesn't know that Beirut is in Lebanon. And again, saying it could have been a bomb that was set off, despite there being no evidence posited so far.
Esper said today that based on what he had heard, the incident in Beirut he felt was an accident. Now, he's disagreed with you on other things before. Do you have any comment about his remark?
Whatever if that's what he heard, I think that I've heard it both ways too. I've heard accent, I've heard, explosives, and obviously it must have been some form of explosives. But whether it was a bomb intentionally set off, it ended up being a bomb. But no, I've heard it both ways. It could have been an accident, and it could have also been something that was very offensive, and I wouldn't be very happy with that.
And you have no problem with
Just to
that?
follow up on that, Mr. President, even if you just have suspicion that the Beirut explosion is a bomb, do you have any plans of pertaining to U.S. assets in the region, for example? I mean, how are you looking into this?
We're working very closely with the government, and we're working very closely with many different agencies, including the military, and we'll be able to figure it out. We already probably have figured it out. Thank you very much, everybody.
Mr. President,
What did you mean when you said it is what it is?
Abruptly walking off, of course, after floating multiple unfounded conspiracy theories. Now, just a bonus clip here, not a conspiracy per se, but just a wild claim. Donald Trump again talks about, coronavirus is just going to go away.
Sir, you said in an interview this morning on the coronavirus, this thing's going away. It will go away like things go away, despite ongoing cases and death.
Going away.
Isn't that continued claim out of reality?
It's going away. No, it'll go away like things go away. Absolutely. It's no question in my mind. It will go away. Please, go ahead. Hopefully sooner rather than later.
Now, what's pernicious about this is that to the non-thinking individual, eventually Trump's going to be right and he's going to get some credit for that. And what I mean by that is, I guess it's conceivable that the coronavirus goes away as a pandemic, but it becomes sort of seasonal like the flu. But in a certain sense, eventually Trump will be right that the pandemic is going to end. Now, Trump has been saying this for months. When we had 15 cases, the president said they would soon be zero. We're now at 5 million. He's been saying it's going to go away for 5 months. At a certain point, he will be right. And there are people in our country so uneducated or so blinded by partisanship that they are going to praise Trump for it. They will say, look, Trump said it was going to go away and it went away. It is weaponized ignorance and aggressive delusion, and it's dangerous. And do you guys think these briefings are helping Trump with some people? Do these briefings help Trump with his base? Or are they doing more harm than good? You'll remember they were stopped for a period of time and then restarted as an idea for helping Donald Trump recover in the polls. He actually has seen slightly better polling since he has restarted these, although to make a causal relationship, we'd have to have a little more information. What do you think? Helping, hurting Trump, no impact, helping with his base, but hurting with everybody else? Curious what you think. If you are anything like me, you probably aren't thrilled with the idea of going into a doctor's office right now. And thankfully, there's a practical and affordable way to take control of your health and get personalized care from the comfort of your home. It's a service called SteadyMD. They're one of our sponsors. You take a quiz, you get matched with a licensed primary care physician who understands your health needs. You have a 1-hour video call with your new doctor. You establish a meaningful relationship with them. And after that, your doctor is available to you anytime by text, phone, or video chat. This is not a random doctor on call. Each doctor at SteadyMD has a limited number of patients, so they actually have time to listen to you. You get the personal attention that you deserve. They can do almost everything an in-person doctor can do: perform medical evaluations, talk to you about health concerns, send prescriptions to your home or local pharmacy, and anything they can't do online, they'll quickly set you up with an in-person provider to do, things like blood tests, as an example. You don't need insurance. It's only $99 a month with no other fees or copays. There are so many practical advantages to using SteadyMD for primary care, and it's also so much more affordable. Go to steadymd.com/Pakman to take the free quiz, see which doctor is right for you. I took their quiz. They matched me with a doctor who specializes in my particular health needs and situation. The doctor they gave me is a really perfect fit for me and my medical needs. There's no risk, no commitment to get started. Just click the link right underneath this video.